Hey guys, this is Nicholas Live, and today you got a special live stream with the MyBit team who is transforming the investing. Now, for you, those of you guys who don't know what MyBit is, it enables anybody to directly invest in machines that generate revenue through IoT. And the first thing on the horizon is solar panels, which I'm very excited about. Here is basically the core MyBit team with me, of course. Right here we have Ian Worall, who is the founder and CEO. We have Connor also with us, so he's a blockchain engineer, and Kyle is only on audio, but he's joining us as well. He's a Solidity developer for the MyBit team. I can't wait to get all the updates that are happening right now behind the scenes. And you guys will be able to ask us any questions in the live stream and interact directly with the core team right here. Now, it has been a long time since we last did a live stream, and it was an in-person one, and I cannot wait to actually go and meet you guys in person again to do another live stream with you. But you guys are so hard to catch. You guys are all over the map. Lots of things are happening, and every time I speak to you, Ian, like you're in a different location, so you guys are very busy, right?
Yeah, we definitely are. We're scattered all over the world right now.
And you, Ian, you're joining us from Switzerland. Connor is coming all the way from where?
Scotland.
Damn. And Kyle, you are in Romania, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bucharest right now.
Oh, well, thank you guys for taking your time to join. And Ian, thanks for coming as well. Do you guys want to give us some of the big stuff that's been happening behind the scenes and kind of give us a feel for what you guys are doing?
Sure. I mean, let's start with the development update because we have Connor and Kyle here, and they're two that are just killing it on the platform. So they probably, I know they have a lot of updates to share.
Connor, you're going to get us started?
On you go, Kyle. You want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been working on a couple big functionality aspects for the platform right now, which is we've been developing an asset marketplace, which allows users to trade shares of the assets that they've funded in. And we've also been implementing a token burning process that will give users different access levels.
Now, when you mean this, when you actually invest in IoT device, you're saying that we're not bound to this contract. We can, trade this contract and get out of it, right?
Yeah, so that was like the biggest thing behind like the actual marketplace, because traditionally when you invest in like fixed assets like solar panels or any type of robotics, you don't get all your money back and you're locked into it until you get like a full ROI on it. And that's often anywhere from like 5 to 10 years. So with this, we thought it was like really critical that people were able to sell their stake and their revenue streams at any time, so they're not locked into the asset for the full life cycle. So that way, like, it brings liquidity to a market that has never seen that before. And liquidity is, if you know anything about investing, it's pretty much the most important thing. So I think it really just puts us ahead as like a leader in the industry that nobody's going to be able to compete with.
Yeah, and the traditional, any type of traditional co-funding or investing, or any platform in general, I don't want to name drop any right now because most I don't really like personally, and this is the first one I really can't wait for. The issue is that once you invest, that's it. You have to wait this certain amount of period to get the money back, as you say, ROI, return on investment, right? And what other big things should we expect, Connor?
So we've also implemented a staking feature, so users can stake their tokens for a certain amount of days. Currently, we've implemented 45 days, 90 days, 180 days, and 360. Once you lock these tokens, you will generate a percentage of the total assets funded. You will be getting a percentage of the total pool. You'll be generating income by staking tokens. And payouts are every 15 days. You're not able to use your MyBit tokens once they're staked. After your set period, you are able to unlock your tokens again.
Okay, so basically you're encouraging kind of a lockout period for your tokens, which you always get backed, but the longer, I'm guessing the longer you stake them, the longer you lock them up, the bigger percentage you get of the overall platform, right? And this is, what kind of numbers are we talking about here?
Well, I mean, you get a percentage of each asset that is funded. So if an asset costs $10,000, you could obtain a certain percentage of that. And if there's 10,000 assets being funded a day, I don't know the math, but quite a lot.
That's
Wow.
typically around like 2%, 1 to
Yeah.
2%, which, you know, starting off won't be much, but as we scale, you know, that ends up becoming a lot of money if you have even like 1% or 0.5% of all the MyBit tokens. You're talking like millions a week. So there's a lot of
Whoa.
potential there. Yeah, we're talking like serious money here.
And
And
this is very serious. I just want to emphasize how important this is because once people start seeing it at scale, and once they start seeing other people generate all these big percentages, they're gonna want to lock up their tokens as well. And this just decreases the supply that's on the market at the moment substantially, right? And we all know what happens when the supply goes down and the demand keeps going up. It's gonna be huge.
yeah, and also we implemented like burning tokens on the access layer. So to use the platform, there's a one-time fee of not a specific amount of MyBit because we're expecting the price to get like well over $1,000. So that'd be too much to do the platform, but we're going to peg it to a fiat value like 10 Swiss francs or something. But then every time somebody does that to access the platform and we have a new user, those tokens get burned, which means they're taken out of the supply. And this is something that if Connor's connection or Kyle's connection's okay, you can talk about because Vitalik, founder of Ethereum, talks about this a lot and how it's the best token model for like burning supply and everything. So if Kyle's there, he can talk a little more about it. That really helps with the supply and really help with the price of the token.
Totally. So it's basically like a token as a service model, which helps create like a sink in the supply for the tokens. And yeah, basically the theory is that if you're just using tokens to trade for assets and stuff, there's not really an increasing demand for the tokens as there's no sink being created on the tokens. But as we burn tokens to access different levels of the platform, you can expect the supply to drop and the demand to increase as well, as there's also a staking aspect in this as well. So all the money coming in will require an access fee to get in, as well as all the money coming in will spread to the users who are staking their tokens. So it creates a nice sinkhole for the token holders to be happy, and it helps limit the DDoS potential on the network as well, as you have to pay to access different areas of the
Yes,
smart
that makes
contract.
so much sense. Okay, you can't really flood the platform with fake information and try to bring it down in any malicious way because you have to pay per access, and each new user who comes there has to essentially get MyBit and then burn him for access, which is pretty cool platform. I mean, in a way to access it, right?
Yeah, totally. It's the best of both. And it's great. So as you the highest level of authorization on the platform will be an ability to trade your asset shares on the platform. So this is something me and Connor have just implemented and have run basic tests on so far. And once an asset has succeeded funding, it's going to allow the users to trade the shares for whatever price they feel fit, and other users to come in and buy an asset if they've missed the funding of that asset. And yeah, we're really excited about this. Really brings the tokenization aspect to assets of their own and creates a lot of fluidity in the market of individual assets.
And you like the market that decides what the price of that asset is and how valuable the contract is. So this is all on the open market. That's a cool aspect, right?
Yeah, and it even creates an opportunity for because you have like different types of investors, and like I'm a total investment nerd. So you have people that initially when the platform's launched, there's a lot of opportunity for people that are willing to take risk on like new assets that don't have proven ROIs. So if you look at like a solar farm in like Northern Africa or something, that it might project that returns like 5% a year. But if you purchase like 10,000 euros worth of that and it ends up producing 10% a year, you can sell that at a massive premium, like 100% premium, because the returns are higher. So you can make money on like several ways with that. And you have a lot of people with like big money that don't like guessing. They want to see a fixed proven return. So there'll be a market for you to sell your shares. On the flip side, if the return is less than what's projected, then you may have issues selling it. But I mean, that's typically like, it really depends on your risk profile as an investor. But just having that opportunity, I think, is going to please a lot of people because it caters to investors of all calibers. So, like, the platform will scale up and down from the individual high risk investor to a low risk, like, mega institutional fund with billions of dollars. And the platform works the same way for all of them. So, it's really cool how we can hit a lot of different users from different backgrounds.
And for example, if I myself invested into a solar panel farm and I don't know, something, God forbid something goes wrong, with my financials and I lose my job or whatever happens, and I'm desperate for money. Like, this locked up investment is no longer locked up; it's liquid, and that's the golden part. I love that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing because within today's world, there should be no such thing as an illiquid investment. Like, I think real estate should even be able to sell like fractional ownership and stuff, and like we'll hopefully get to that through our platform. We just have to navigate some regulation in different markets, but everything should be liquid, and that's one of the biggest things we're going to be pushing towards is just creating liquidity in these markets.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's awesome. Any other big things on the horizon? Now, this is the platform we are all basically waiting for, and it's just gonna happen in the coming months. And I see you guys are working really, really hard. It's so hard to get a hold of you. So I mean, it's a sign of you guys working hard. So I'm just glad to see this happen and be right here in the front seat. So that's the cool part.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things is we've actually put, just being fully transparent, we've put an embargo as of like right before Christmas on any news about partnerships and everything, because with the Arabco, the Smart Bench partnership we had in Dubai, we saw good feedback from that, but we didn't have a marketing strategy to actually penetrate like different channels. So, we saw good money like flow into our ecosystem and we saw like relatively good response. But we realized that if we had a clearly thought out like marketing strategy, that would be really, really big. So the past 2 months, we've been building up a market and just finding the right people. So hopefully by like February.
Oh, sorry.
But hopefully by like February 1st, we have like our marketing team in place. So we've actually signed several partnerships since Christmas that we haven't released. And we're just waiting until we have our PR and our marketing strategy clearly defined and have everybody in place and ready to go so we can really blow it up. And then we have a lot of partnerships in the funnel, I guess is the right word. So there will be a lot of news. So that's the reason we've been really quiet the past 3 weeks after the Arabco partnership is we weren't super impressed with how we personally marketed that. So we were building up and not releasing any more news on partnerships or anything major until we have our marketing sorted. And then it'll just be like a constant release of it. But we have signed partnerships in the time. And the most exciting thing that I'm for. Well, first I'll let Connor and Kyle finish up any like dev updates if there's anything. I don't want to cut them off before I start rambling.
Just that we're mainly focusing on the UI now. So we're trying to get all of the UI integrations like Web3, trying to fully do our testing and then doing some audits. We want to make sure that the platform is fully functional, functioning the way that we intend it to be. So yeah, we're basically just focusing on the UI now. We've got some integrations for KYC already. We're getting our database set up as well in the back end. Just some other things as well.
I'm sure you can't disclose everything, but it's pretty cool. Now UI is really important, and I read a quote somewhere that every $1. So it's a quote from the old world of of how things functioned before the blockchain. So for every $1 invested into the UI, you will get at least $100 back in returns from the customers and the satisfactions and the lower the everything, just a whole ecosystem combined together. And when you take this to the blockchain, I think it's even a bigger return on how much you invest in the UI. So I'm glad you guys are focusing on the UI, and also glad that Ian, you realize that as much as you guys are super strong as a developing and a team that makes things happen behind the scenes, you realize that you don't might have any big current strengths in marketing, and you can definitely improve that. So I'm glad that you guys, as strong of a team as you are, you realize your weaknesses and you're ready to improve on that. So it takes courage to say, I'm bad at this, I'm gonna get better, right?
Yeah, for sure. And we should have an absolutely awesome guy joining our marketing team in the next few weeks. And he will really add a lot of value to the company. So we're really excited. And he's just an awesome person, too. So, really excited for that to come to fruition and our whole community to meet him, because we'll definitely love him. And then our marketing team will be very, very strong.
Man, I can't wait already. Sounds super awesome.
Show him a picture of the UI that I sent.
Boom! How do you guys like this? Isn't that a beauty? Is that just
our first release of it, but like it has some, it needs some work, but we think it's pretty decent for like our first ever iteration of it.
it is more than decent. Now back to us. There, guys, you've seen it here first, and you'll be seeing a lot more from this MyBit team, and we're just getting started. Now I'm seeing all of you guys' questions in the live chat, and shout out to World Wallower, Money Kicks, Vicky Herezer, and all you guys in the live chat. You guys are definitely awesome. Thank you for watching this in real time. And once the team finishes with some important things they want to talk about, I'll see if we can find some room for some questions you guys might have. I see a lot of you guys are asking some pretty cool questions, so we will definitely try to get to that later, right?
Yeah, for sure. Always happy to answer questions. So another big thing that I wanted to touch on is just that we're really starting to dive in with Slockit, and I'm personally like super excited and geeking out over it, because I just see like the perfect fit like together, because Slockit's an awesome company and I love what they're doing with basically like making every type of like asset a shareable asset, and they're basically like reinventing the sharing economy. The sharing economy was a major trend like 5 years ago that failed because it was missing blockchain. And now that you have blockchain and some more advanced technologies, like this is going to be huge, because people love sharing and they hate buying, and the research backs it up. But there's so many cool things we can do with them. Something that we're discussing right now is creating like decentralized storage units. So basically like an Airbnb, but for excess like storage space you have throughout like property you own, and how you can secure goods and stuff like that. So it's really cool. And storage units are a multi-billion-dollar industry that nobody even thought about decentralizing like Airbnb yet, or has done effectively. But there's so much more we can do with them, because they're the platform where people can go on to share the goods. Well, where do those goods come from? Who finances them? And MyBit could be that tool to finance all sorts of different assets that can be used in the sharing economy, and then run it off their platform. So like it's just a match made in heaven, pretty much. I'm not religious, but it's just like a perfect, it's a cool match. And like I'm really excited about it, just from like a nerd level, on what we can do together. And that's just one partnership. But that it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's from a personal note, what I'm most excited for over the next 6 months.
Oh, I'm glad to hear. And just a personal question this came to me mind right now. What would be what would you need from this new asset before you would put it on the platform? How would that actual process go?
Yeah, so we do a lot of due diligence, and that's why we've been kind of slow with the partnerships. Because it's right now it's in our interest to we have to take care of our users and everything. So we've seen like some cool products and stuff that have approached us, and we've had to say no to a lot, like over half of them, just because
Really?
we didn't like, their business model. We thought that if they listed the platform, they wouldn't be able to deliver with their supply chains. We didn't know if they could scale as fast as we needed. We didn't know if they could ship. We didn't like how their insurance worked to protect users. So there's a lot of variables. We're actually really, really strict on the listing process. And like our biggest criteria that we look for is just, it's pretty simple. Is it a cool asset people would invest in? Does it generate enough money to be worth it for investors? And then is the company run well? Meaning, like, do they have all their regulation framework and everything in check so they won't run into issues? Do they know how to manufacture, scale that? And do they have like the appropriate insurance and protection? And somewhere in there is typically where we lose a lot of companies, because surprisingly, we've learned a lot of companies aren't really managed very well, and I think that's why most companies fail. But that was a long answer to your question, but we're very stringent on the criteria for listing new products.
Okay, that's very glad to hear. And how would actually this look behind the scenes hardware wise? This would be all implemented through a blockchain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
awesome.
that's all great. So we've already built the smart contracts for the assets and the partnerships that we've already spoken to. We've told them how to set it up on their end. It's very easy for them. All they need to do is set up an address, essentially. So yeah, it's actually surprisingly very easy to implement, and it's already been done for multiple partnerships.
Oh, I'm very glad it's taken care of, because I guess, I was kind of worried, would this have to be done manually? And when you guys automate all this, it's just gonna be a breeze.
Yep, all automated. And the revenue sharing model as well. For investors into the asset, it's all automated to get their revenue back automatically. Just repeating myself, but yeah, it's all automated.
That's pretty awesome. And some people are just wondering in the Slack, in the live chat, should I get into questions right now, Ian?
Yeah, sure.
There's some things that are not quite clear on how the second ICO will work. You guys mentioned. Can you cover that a bit?
Yeah. So, to be fully honest, we don't know yet. There's a lot that we're factoring in this, but I think the main thing to take away is we're not going to do anything that negatively affects the community. All of us in the company are invested in MyBit, so we're not going to do anything that's going to hurt us or hurt other token holders. And it's not even set in stone that we're going to do it yet. The price of Ethereum has gone up so much. If it continues to rise, we may not need to do another. That's why we haven't really disclosed any concrete information. But the biggest reason why we would do it is to be able to scale the company fast. Once we have a proven product and everything, if we did a very big round, with like $30 million, $50 million plus, we'd be able to scale to several continents, many different jurisdictions, and be able to grow at a very, very rapid rate. And it's really important to note that we structured our token sale like this on purpose, because we didn't want to raise, I talked about this a lot in the first one. We didn't want to raise $30 million or more over a white paper, because that's toxic. I think that every company that's doing that should, it's a shame to the industry, because it's not healthy. Should never be able to raise that kind of money with no product and no user base backing it up. So that's why we went with a smaller amount, and we always said if we needed more to scale it up, that's where phase 2 would come in. And we were also pretty open, where our total supply was 5 million in the first one. So the biggest thing though is, I know what everybody really cares about asking the question is price of the token and how will it affect them, because the supply is basically doubling. You have to look at it this way. Would you rather own, say we could grow the company to $1 billion with the money that we currently have before we plateaued? Would you rather own 10% of $1 billion or 5% of $10 billion or $20 billion?
That is a very good point.
So that's your biggest thing. You'd rather have, and it's not even like a much smaller percentage. It's just a little over half. but it would just, we're only going to do it if it enables us to grow the company at such an exponential rate that it makes sense for everybody to do. So just know that we're doing what's in everybody's best interest. And just because you have a smaller amount isn't a bad thing if the company's worth 10 times what it would be.
I mean, keep in mind, guys, MyBit supply is already super low. It is, what, around 5 million MyBit in total, right? And the current price is around $13. It jumped to over $13 easily previously. So it's a very hard to get token. It's already scarce enough. So this would be a very minor change, right? Now, Ian,
Yeah.
I hope you're getting better. I know you were a bit sick earlier, so best wishes to you.
Yeah, I'm better than last week, but I'm struggling a little. But another thing too is, if you factor in what we're doing with the token burning and staking and how those all will be taken out of supply, the supply, even at 5 million, the supply will get really, really low. So I wouldn't really worry about a second token sale and 2 million more tokens being added. That's honestly pretty irrelevant in the whole scheme of things.
That's pretty awesome. I'm glad. And some people are just commenting how they love the Open Sunlight initiative, which you guys can check out yourself. I'll make sure the link is right there in the comments or description once this replay is processed by YouTube. And thank you everybody just for being here live with us and chatting. I'm just having trouble reading all the questions. People are just so there's so much good things to discuss about this project, and we can easily get into 3 hours or 4 hours deep discussions, but we do want to keep it short because you guys are very busy. And do you have any do you expect any issues with Ethereum and possible congestion? I know some people are saying that in the future something like EOS could take over Ethereum. Do you have any things you're just planning for the future?
So my answer to that is we really, really believe in Ethereum. EOS would be the only one that we are potentially looking at or, just monitoring. But, we get that question every single day. And to be completely honest, everything other than Ethereum right now is complete crap. It's all conjecture and, I'm just being honest because I hear it every single day. It's a lot of technologies that are just claiming they can do something, and maybe someday they will. But currently, Ethereum is light years ahead of everything, and you can't build, deploy, scale, and actually run an application off anything yet. And you can do that on Ethereum. And with Ethereum, the biggest thing with Ethereum would be just the network getting clogged or transaction fees being a lot. But we saw that with Bitcoin years ago too. And it runs through issues, but overall, it's doing very, very well and it's healthy, even with some high transaction fees. So with Ethereum, you have like Plasma and stuff like that. The core dev team is working on to increase scalability. And there's also a lot of things you can do with like off-chain calculations and data storage. And I don't know if Connor wants to touch that with like off-chain like data, but there's just a lot of things you can do to create a more scalable solution. So really don't foresee it being an issue.
Glad to hear that.
In terms of in terms of the off-chain, so as Ian said, you can choose what you want to do off-chain, so you don't spend any gas. Essentially, you're not spending any ether to do the computations. So you can do some of them off that aren't that critical and then put them on the blockchain once the calculations have been done, and it saves astronomical amounts of gas. But it's just little things. We're testing out what is the best way of doing it, what should we do it to, etc., etc. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to note also, like many devs don't utilize the fact that you can store a lot of data in event logs, and a lot of them are over congested because they're not utilizing Stacked enough. But yeah, we're trying to really minimize it, save the users money on that end.
Okay, I mean, and realistically, when you make an investment in something that's as big as solar panels, you're not gonna invest like $10. It's gonna be maybe $100 or a bigger dollar investment from your end. So a small transaction fee isn't really gonna play a big part anyway. But I'm sure you. Is there any talks about a minimum investment size? Speaking of that.
It would really depend. I'm actually trying to work on a formula for that, but it would probably be around like $100. We would want to keep it, as small as possible. But I think 100 is a good with like transaction fees and everything. And it also just kind of limits congestion. If you have a lot of people just putting in like 50 cents, that doesn't really help because it just kind of clogs the network and you don't really get a sizable return off that. So it's probably a ballpark figure would be around $100 would be a minimum.
And I'm sure that would cover most of the world because most people in the world will be able to invest at least $100, and that's, I think, very, very low actually.
Oh yeah, it's extremely low, especially because for a lot of these things, like for you to get that's a big reason why we started MyBit is to open that accessibility because normally if you want to invest in like a solar farm or solar panels, you have to buy a full solar panel system for like 20,000 euros,
How
or you
much?
buy like 20,000 euros.
Damn.
And just for like a home thing, might be able to get a bad one for like 10, but it's still expensive. And if you want to buy like a self-driving taxi, and normally you would have to buy like the entire thing. But if you can just put in $100 and have a share of it, that opens up the playing field to the majority of the world versus just the rich that could afford to drop like 20,000 on like one system and then have several. It also helps with diversification too, so you can have if you only have 20,000 euros to invest, it's better to put 2,000 in 10 different things, which you can do with our platform, where traditionally you would just have to choose one to put 20 in, which is too much risk. So there's just so many benefits to the platform. Like we really love the direction we're going in.
Yeah, that's very important. You guys are literally considering every small fine detail, and like you said, you have a formula ready for this. Just how much would the minimum to invest, and that just makes me tingle on the inside. How you guys are basically thinking of every possible aspect. That's super awesome. I'm like just so happy. And you guys seen the previews, so this is moving very fast and very efficiently. So it'll be an interesting coming months. There isn't a set information I can disclose right now, but I just cannot wait for this to happen. And thank you, Dan, for joining us in the chat. Now, we were planning to give $200 for the best question in the live chat, but it was kind of hard to do that because you, Ian, and everybody you just covered all the questions beforehand, and I really don't see any questions that haven't been covered already. And if there is some, they have been covered in the previous interview we did in person, actually in Prague, which I had lots of fun, and I'm sure we'll be able to do another in-person interview when all you guys come to Zug, Switzerland, maybe around a month from now, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I know for sure the whole month of March, every single person will be here the whole month.
Yeah, and you guys have been working very, very hard to get this complete and fully functional. So thank you guys for joining us in the live chat, and I'm just gonna find a question that has been answered, and it's a really good question because I do want to support you guys for asking good questions in the live chat. So let's just do $200, which is around 15 MyBit at $13 a piece. And could be a lot more in the near future because it is a very limited supply of tokens. Now, I like the question by World Velour. He said, if you're not interested in choosing a specific investment, can you lock up your coins and get a return that way? And that has been answered by you guys' staking feature, which is a feature I very much like. So good job. You just got 15 MyBit, man. That's just make sure you post your address in the comments or the live chat. I'll make sure you get that right away. You guys want to cover any last topics before we get off this live stream?
I think I talked enough for one day. People are probably tired of listening to me. I was rambling for a little. Sorry, guys. I'm sick. I'm not at 100%.
Well, Ian, it has been a pleasure, and just some of the little things that you say are just golden nuggets, and I just love listening to you personally. So I'm sure you guys enjoyed it as well. It's been a very fun 35 minutes. I want to thank everybody for coming, and make sure you guys are subscribed so you get any cool videos coming out. And I'm sure there will be a live stream in the very near future where I'll do my best to be in person with you guys because I just love being there and feeling all the passion and seeing everything happen behind the scenes. So I will be seeing you guys very shortly in Zurich, Switzerland, right?
Crypto Valley. And check out our new office.
Yeah, Zurich is basically the new, becoming an underground Silicon Valley for crypto, and I like which direction it's going, right? I see you guys do some like small, discussions around how advanced that city is, and it's just amazing how accepted Bitcoin is in that location, right?
You can pay my taxes in Bitcoin and Ethereum.
No way.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
You guys hear that? You can pay your taxes. The government accepts Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, you can log your ID on the Ethereum blockchain. The government will issue like your ID card on Ethereum.
That is huge. Okay, I'm gonna have to be there and meet you guys. Hang out with you guys in person, and so I will see you guys in the next live stream. And Ian, Connor, and Kyle, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks.
See you guys later.
Yeah, see you later. Listening, guys. Yeah.